The following is a special presentation of the Not Quite Right podcast, in which we discuss, in detail, entries to our erotic flash fiction competition, the Not Quite Right prize for flesh fiction. This episode contains adult themes and is not appropriate for listeners under the age of 18. And Mum, if you're still listening, that's on you.
Something doesn't seem quite right.
Welcome to Not Quite Right. My name's Ed.
And I'm Amanda.
And welcome to the sixth and final category episode for the Not Quite Right prize for flesh fiction. And these category episodes are where we talk about the podium. Who came third? Who came second? But not who came first, because we're saving that one up for the final episode in which we will reveal the winner.
It is a privileged position coming first.
It is. Although, I don't mind if I come second.
What about third?
In the right situation, I might be up for that.
All right. Okay.
And we'll also be reading out the second place story, which is like what you're here for, is to hear one of us embarrass themselves deeply reading a erotic story.
I'm so flushed. I'm very pink in the face, you know?
All the blood's gone to your face.
It has. I'm struggling. I'm finding it difficult. But it's fun. It's good fun.
And we'll also be sharing our thoughts about this category.
Yeah.
What worked, what didn't.
Yeah.
And we will also be speaking once again with Elise Scott, who was so generous with her time, both during the judging and during our conversations. And I think we were on the phone with Elise for like 4 hours.
Oh my God.
Not exaggerating, we phoned Elise several times.
But it was just such a good chat. You know, we needed to hang out.
Yeah, it was a fun hangout.
It was so fun. We were talking about all sorts of stuff. So there was never a dull moment. But Elise did, of course, generously donate all of that time, including countless hours of reading time, which I understand were mostly done between the hours of, say, 2 and 5 a.m. And providing very generous, thoughtful and well-considered comments on all of these stories and really enlightening me to some of the nuances of various things that maybe I had been a little bit sheltered to up until now. And I really, really appreciate Elise's efforts. And we invited Elise to choose a top pick for each category. And the top pick for each of those categories will be taking home a copy of Elise's upcoming debut novel, The Black Cat Detectives. Now, it is a little bit of a change of pace. So it's a cozy mystery. No spice.
There's no fucking.
There isn't.
There's lots of cats, though.
There's lots of cats, lots of pussies. So yeah, good fun. And we will be contacting Elise's top pick author to get them a copy of that book when it's released later this year.
So I have an idea, Amanda. Why don't we listen to our discussion with Elise now and find out who won?
Sounds good.
So welcome back, Elise, and you're back again to discuss the other category, which is a bit of a wild card category.
So this category was quite a bit smaller, I think, than the other categories. And there are definitely certain cases where I would be fascinated to know why the author categorized their story as other rather than, for instance, the kink and taboo category or the literary erotica category, because it felt like very crossovery. And I was wondering what they're trying to draw our attention to by choosing other instead.
Do you feel like maybe it was a bit of a strategy knowing that there would be fewer entries to this particular category, that they were hoping to increase their chances of a long listing? What do you think?
That is quite possible. In some cases, I wondered about that myself.
Yeah, so tell us, Elise, about some of your standout stories in this genre. Do you have any call-outs?
There was one that I would love the book of it. And there were things about it that I think didn't quite fit into the 1,500-word format, but it was called Forever My Given.
Yes.
And it was so
the sci-fi.
Yes, it was a story about a person who was at a sci-fi con and felt like they didn't fit in, and they were wearing this costume because they wanted to feel a certain way, but they didn't feel authentic in their costume. And then they met this sort of outcast character or this unappreciated character from the story that was also in costume. And then they had like this little role play, and their costumes got ripped off, but they continued along with the role play. And I was just absolutely charmed with that story. It was so sweet. I loved it. And I feel like that would be such a great book. I would really love to read a whole book about that character and their journey and what brought them to the con and like maybe how the relationship unfolds. I feel like there's a lot there.
Yeah, it's hard in 1,500 words to convey all of this backstory. But I think that was one that Ed called out for some of the interesting anatomy that came along with that and those alien life forms.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Oh, I think that's a different one. You're talking about the one where the person goes to like an alien realm.
No. I'm definitely talking about the sci-fi con, the four-breasted female character.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You talked about different anatomy, and I thought the one where like the human is having sex with the shapeshifter. They keep trying to figure out what shape to shift into.
Also fascinating. I mean, I think I love that people got super creative and we're talking about would we have an other category again? Like, do you do that? And I guess it allows space to just do whatever the hell you want without feeling like you need to fit into what's come before. And sometimes that can allow for something new to evolve. I mean, how did monster porn come about? Like this seems to have been something that probably goes back a long time, but which seems to have gained popularity recently. Who is it that sort of starts that trend and then kicks it off?
I think this category also had that story that was like a telltale cock.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was so fun, but I don't think you would put it in, the title would make it seem like it goes in comedy, but it really wouldn't. The story wouldn't really belong in comedy.
It was more of a horror, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yes, that was definitely a memorable story. And, I appreciate the Poe reference, obviously.
Yes.
I do feel like that was very niche, very targeted to our tastes.
And I want to call out the author of that story and their pen name. I won't reveal the true identity of the author, but the pen name is Edna Ellen Crow.
That's amazing.
So, Elise, you're about to reveal to us your top pick for this category. And the winner of your top pick gets a copy of your latest novel. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's actually my debut novel. I've never published a full-length novel before, so I'm super excited about it. It's called The Black Cat Detectives, and it stars 3 little kittens who are rescued by a stage magician.
And it must be said that they can control the laws of physics.
Right, yes. I always forget to say that. They can bend the laws of physics. One can change the travel paths of light, so create shadows that shouldn't be there or make it so something is invisible. And then one of them can entangle the qubits of 2 different objects. So it amounts to something like telekinesis with a remote. He entangles his toy mouse with a shoe at one point and then throws it at a human he's angry at. And the shoe hits the person. And the third one, I'm not going to say what that one's ability is because for most of the book, it seems like they do not have one.
Well, I mean, this sounds like just classic cat behavior, to be honest. So,
Yes. So anyway, they are rescued by a stage magician, and then she is accused of murdering her boyfriend, and they have to solve the murder to save her from the human pound.
Well, we're not going to ask who the murderer really is because, of course, that would be a massive spoiler. But it sounds very cute and very fun. So what inspired you to write this book in particular?
So I typically write really dark speculative fiction, and I had a really bad year where I had 5 elder cats and they all died of different things one after another. And it was bad. I kind of lost my ability to feel joy there for a while, and I needed to reclaim it. So I decided to write something joyful, and I got the idea of bringing their quirks and strangenesses and little anecdotes from their life onto the page and writing these point of view chapters from that most of the story is told from the perspectives of the kittens.
I love the idea of taking something very upsetting and sad and being able to express that in a positive way, a way that uplifts you. I mean, I think that's something special about art in general, but also, we come at this from a flash fiction space. It's nice to be able to process your emotions through storytelling as well, whether that's an emotion you're feeling just that day or that weekend, or whether that's something bigger for you and working through it in an art form. So I imagine you would encourage other people to express themselves in that way.
Absolutely. And I don't know that murder as a vehicle for explaining joy is necessarily a natural fit.
Probably better on the page than in real life, though, right? Like if you're going to do it.
But that's the thing that I like so much about the cozy genre. But yeah, I think in general, I mean, even the darker things that I've written, I've always experienced a lot of catharsis by looking at things through a different lens, or I have a novel that's on submission to publishers. So maybe someday it'll be a book, but who knows? But I had been kind of grappling with a lot of anxiety around what if something happened to my daughter. So I wrote a book where the main character of the book is me 40 years from now, if I had gotten the disability that I got during childbirth, but then my daughter hadn't survived and I had become bitter and lost my faith in humanity. And then that's where the story starts. And my job during the book is to give her back her faith in humanity through this plant nanobot AI apocalypse. So,
as you
anyway,
do.
Yeah, as you do. So I think for me, at least, I think if you start with some kind of emotion that you want to explore or process, it's personal to you. And then that feeds the story that you're writing or the character that you're writing, that can often lead to like a really vibrant or really authentic emotional arc in the story. And I think that can be really powerful.
Absolutely. We see that all the time, stories which resonate quite deeply, and you can tell that the author is just really putting themselves on the page. Even without knowing who the author is or what their backstory is, you can often pick up on stories that feel very real and grounded in personal experience.
Well, excellent. We're looking forward to giving away a copy of your book to one writer. I would say lucky, but no, a talented writer. So who is your top pick for the other category?
So my top pick for the other category is Daughter from California, which I really want a TV series of. So this was a story where, as you read, it becomes clear that the narrator is dictating medical notes about an interesting medical case. And then there is a sexual encounter that begins to happen during the dictation, but the dictation software is just transcribing all of the O's and oh gods and fucks and stuff right into the notes. And I was just utterly delighted. I thought it was a really fun approach to the prompt.
Crucially, they don't stop. They don't stop their note taking.
No, they don't.
Very committed. Very, very committed to their job.
And fun for me was that the actual medical case is a bit of a medical mystery, like in a medical TV show, like House or Grey's Anatomy would have, where at first it seems like one thing is happening. And then, so there's like this layer of suspense, at least for people who like medical drama, there's this layer of suspense around like what is actually going on with the medical case that's separate from the sex scene that's going on. I was absorbed. I liked that one a lot.
And congratulations, Wellesley Dillon, on your story. And you'll be receiving a copy of Elise's book.
Yay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Elise. We really appreciate it. We've taken up a lot of your time, and I know you never sleep, but nevertheless, I'm sure you've got another book to write. But thank you so much for your generous dedication of time to this little passion project of ours. And we wish you all the best with the launch of your cozy mystery, The Black Cat Detectives.
Thank you. It's honestly been such an honor to read all these stories and have these conversations. It's been phenomenal. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Honestly, we couldn't have done it without you.
Absolutely.
Especially with the kink category, and look, all the work that you did, your comments were always detailed and illuminating. So we thank you so much for your help.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Elise, for your help. And I'm sure we will be speaking to you again in the future. I'm sure this is not the last time we'll be working together. So thank you. But let's talk about other. And I guess the reason why we had another category to begin with was maybe our lack of experience with erotic fiction in its totality. Like we did our research, we scoured the internet for what we could find, and obviously there's a lot of porn out there and a lot of erotic fiction.
I'm not sure to what extent I scoured the internet, I have to say. That might have just been you.
I may have had a head start.
Okay.
But we came up with 5 categories, and then we just thought there's probably shit that we haven't thought about.
Yeah.
And look, there is definitely. And so we created the other category for people who felt as though what they wrote really didn't fit into one of the 5 categories that we had.
So do you want to read that description
so
that we provided?
our category criteria was erotic stories that don't fit neatly into the categories above, but still place sexual activity at the core of the narrative. This includes erotic horror, historical erotica, science fiction erotica, and other niche subgenres that explore sexuality through distinct stylistic or thematic lenses. And we got 53 entries into this category, which is the fewest, and I guess that's to be expected because most stories fit elsewhere. And look, a lot of stories that were submitted into other did also fit elsewhere, because one thing that we've learned is that there is a lot of overlap between these categories, and depending on the lens or the area of the story that you want to focus on, you could put it in a bunch of categories. So I think the only stories that really stood out as being different here were the ones that were more horror focused, the more sci-fi focused, and in many cases, like maybe they could have been shoehorned elsewhere, but they did have a clear home here.
So there were a few sci-fi ones, which was, of course, included in our definition, so absolutely fit in this category. But to me, the sci-fi didn't differ that much in its style to fantasy and supernatural, and I think they probably could have fit together pretty easily. Like the vibe of those was quite similar. Another interesting thing that emerged for me, what I expect, I guess, and I don't know, I can't read the minds of our entrants, but a lot of people sort of putting their story in the other category because it just didn't fit anywhere else, which is, of course, why that category existed. But one of the reasons, I think, was stories that were what I would call dark romance.
Yeah.
So stories that dealt with couples often, but where the outcome was not romantic. You know, this is a problematic relationship. It's maybe going to a dark place. And so people didn't feel comfortable saying that's romance. But to me, it is. To me, that is still romance. It's just what we call maybe dark romance, a problematic relationship. And so I think those stories would have fairly fit in the romance category if perhaps we'd been a little bit more clear that those stories were welcome there too. And just because it wasn't romantic didn't mean it didn't fit there. I think we also saw some unusual stylistic stories in this category that would have fit perfectly in the literary category.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think in future, I mean, we might look at, if we were to do this again, we might look at having no categories at all, I suppose. But if we did, I suspect we would probably farm those stories out to other places and then maybe merge literary and other together just to, to have a catch-all.
Yeah, and I think this is only relevant really from a judging perspective and how we pick the top stories, because we want the stories that reach the top to be representative of that category. And I think the challenge was especially true in the other category, because what does it mean to like win or podium in the other category? Like, how other do you have to be? Like, if you write a good story that could arguably fit into one of these other categories, do we give it that high spot?
And I think part of that problem is that it felt maybe a little bit unfair because the other category had fewer entrants. And although for the long list you still had to make the top 10% no matter which category you submitted under, once it gets to this podium level, we're doing top 3 spots in each category. And of course, therefore, it becomes easier to win or place in a category where there are fewer entries. And so that was on my mind too of, is it fair that this story is being judged outside of the category that maybe had more entrants, but is where this story belongs? So that was sort of on my mind as well, trying to, I guess, make it fair. And in that case, think to myself, would this story also have placed in, for example, the erotic romance category? Was this story good enough to rise to the top there too? And if not, and if it is very clearly a romance, then it becomes difficult to kind of reward it for going into a less popular category. But, you know, I suppose that wouldn't have necessarily been a deal breaker. It's just something that played on my mind as we were judging the top stories.
But I guess what I learned is that like there isn't that much other really in the 5 categories that we have. You could cleanly fit most erotic stories into one or the other. And I think really the literary category captures most of other. Yeah. Because it does capture things that are different stylistically.
So I think you and I agree that the only other that really felt other was horror. And we did receive some horror, which I appreciated. And then it comes down to, again, the whole, is it sexy thing or is it just really fucking scary? And there were some that were just really scary and some that were decidedly unsexy. And that was a challenge too, because when we look at the theme, again, the theme is making the unsexy irresistible. Now, irresistible does not necessarily mean sexy. It can mean I literally cannot resist this. I am cursed, maybe. And that was a theme that sort of came up in these horrors that It's an inability to resist as opposed to this kind of like appealing side of things. And I thought that was interesting as well. We did actually have one story, probably one of, if not the most shocking to me story that we received in this competition, which the author actually withdrew.
Yes.
Before judging was complete. They found a forever home for that story in a lit mag. I believe it was some sort of monster fuck anthology. So congratulations to that author. Unfortunately, they therefore were not eligible for any prizes in this competition, which is a shame because it was quite a compelling story. Certainly not something that appealed to me. Certainly didn't feel sexy, but absolutely shocking, sensory, amazing, and great story. So I'm not surprised it found a home elsewhere.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into the podium and starting with third place. Now, our third place winners for the other category and all the other categories will take home a copy of a book by Nikki Sex. And our 7 books that we'll be giving away are titled Accuse, Abuse, What Wendy Wants, Kink, Karma, Fate, and Avenge. So hopefully those titles kind of give you a little insight into what those stories may be about. Very kinky,
A few
erotic.
dark themes coming through there.
And very sexual stories. They don't hold back on the explicit detail.
All right.
If you want to check out Nikki Sex, click the link in the description for this episode and just go onto Amazon and search Nikki Sex, and she's written tons of books, so you'll find them all there. So the very talented writer who has finished in third place in the other category for the Not Quite Right prize for flesh fiction is none other than, can you believe it, Linda Atkins.
Wow.
With her story, The Love Song of John Andrew Purflock, Out Magazine, March 20, which is a very Linda Atkins title. And Linda,
we should have picked it.
We should have picked it. Linda joined us, of course, on our long list episode and explained to us the wonders of the
mysteries,
vagina, squirting, and so forth. So go back and listen to that if you're interested.
Yeah.
But congratulations.
Well, who would not be after that glowing intro there?
But congratulations, Linda. Great story. And you came third. So well done.
So hope you're cool with that. Yeah, and Linda actually, we've just discovered, is getting some pretty strong praise from the literary community. Linda is publishing a book this year, a debut crime novel, and it's getting right up in the Australian newspaper. And
saw that.
I'll be really excited to see where Linda goes this year. I'm really, really happy for her. So congratulations, Linda, and I hope everybody follows along with that. We will, of course, be sharing that journey as Linda goes along. But yeah, huge congratulations, and no surprise because, of course, you are a very talented author. Yeah,
and it's been great to have you be part of Not Quite Right in so many different ways, not only the interview, but obviously you've long listed many times. You've been a daredevil, all that kind of thing. So, and it's great to see you now on the podium for this category. But now let's get to the story, which is what I think a lot of our listeners have been waiting for, is to hear you awkwardly
fumble my way through.
And the second place story will receive, as all of our second place stories do, a bottle of wine, and that is courtesy of our friends at Naked Wine. And thank you so much for your wine, and keep it coming.
Please. We go through it. We do enjoy it.
We're a few in.
We're going through it right now in more ways than one.
And the other prize comes from Odyssey Toys, who are makers and sellers of very niche fantasy sex toys.
You say niche, but I'm just not sure after this competition.
Well, the niche is quite wide. You're not going to find this stuff at your regular sex toy company that just sells like boring old dildos that look like penises and vibrators that look like bullets and such.
Yeah, right.
And so forth. These guys, they take it to a whole other level. And so the recipient of this prize will win a Tenox tentacle dildo. So not just a dildo.
No.
A tentacle dildo. Use your imagination on that one, or if you don't want to use your imagination, head over to the Not Quite Right website, click on Flesh Fiction, scroll down, and you'll see all of these prizes, and you can feast your eyes on that tentacle dildo. And you can find links to both Naked Wines and Odyssey Toys in the show notes for this episode, so check them out. But Amanda, tell us who has won those lovely prizes.
And second place in the other category for the Not Quite Right prize for flesh fiction goes to Carapace by J.J. Robinson. Okay, yes. Technically, I volunteered to marry an alien, but in my defense, I thought he'd be one of the hot ones. Alas, politics doesn't always work that way, and someone had to volunteer to cement this alliance. For the sake of protecting, the entire Earth and its population. My new husband was taller than a human and wore only his glossy red-black carapace to our rushed human ceremony. Because, of course, I got landed with an insecti-sectoral warrior, and of course, my husband didn't wish to stay on Earth for longer than necessary. After signing our names in the register, as though Grace and Thean were any other married couple, we made our way towards the waiting spaceship. I bravely slid my hand into the solid, hard-shelled crook of Thean's offered arm and wondered, how on earth was I going to sleep with him? No matter what position I imagined, I couldn't see an option that didn't leave me a mess of bruises from being bashed by his armoured carapace. Let's be real, is there a less sexy word in the English language than carapace? And I mean, would our parts even allow us to consummate this marriage? But we had to. It was part of the treaty. At one point, we passed more sectoral soldiers, all just as shiny and terrifying as my husband. They bowed respectfully, even as Thean's arm slipped around my waist to pull me tightly against him. When we made it to his room, our room now, a touch on the small of my back propelled me inside. It wasn't a huge space, spaceship, but the walls were covered in cheerful hangings of woven grass, studded at intervals with tiny lights that cast out a warm haze. The bed was a mounded affair built up with blankets and pillows. My people usually sleep on loam pads, Thean told me. But I understand humans prefer this. And that was thoughtful. Here, I'd assumed my preferences would be ignored, and I'd be expected to assimilate to sectoral culture in all things. Will that be all right for you? I asked, a hint of concern leaking out. The frustrating thing about a sectoral husband was the lack of facial expressions to gauge his reactions. When he tilted his head, regarding me through large, glassy eyes, I had no idea what that meant until... I suspect I will cope, so long as I have my soft wife in bed with me. Before I could respond, Thean reached up and tugged sharply on his head, as though to remove it from his shoulders. "What are you doing?" I squeaked, alarmed. He paused, his neck elongated by his actions, and when he spoke, his voice came out muffled. Removing my helmet, obviously. His helmet? Unless you'd rather I kept my armour on, even in the comfort of my own rooms. I shook my head quickly. His helmet loosened and came away with a faint pop. And I gasped. Underneath, he was not shiny. He continued removing his armour as though I wasn't staring with eyes like saucers. Okay, so he was still an alien. His armour seemed designed to match his skin tone, bar the glossiness. His face was ridged with sharp, unfamiliar cheekbones and a nose that barely protruded. But at least he had a nose, plus 2 dark eyes, and a mouth that quirked up when he caught me watching. A mop of black hair covered the sides of his face, so I couldn't check the ear situation. But what did that matter when he peeled off his body armour and holy shit, my husband was gorgeous. How did we not know the hard-shelled sectorals looked like this? I would not have been the only bridal volunteer if we did. His arms flexed as he removed his boots and my stomach flipped. I'm going to seduce my husband, I decided. Perhaps you'd like to shuck your armour too, Thean suggested. Right, I said faintly, my arms scrabbling uselessly at the back of my dress. Actually, could you? I turned and a pair of warm hands brushed across my bare shoulders, tugging the laces of my dress. Is it human tradition to be inaccessible tonight? He asked, frustrated, amusement in his tone as he unlaced me. But I was barely listening because his fingers dancing across my skin felt like the smoothest, butteriest leather. He smelled good too, earthy and warm, and my throat went dry as the bodice of my dress fell away, leaving me in the wedding lingerie my stepmother insisted I wear. Now I was glad of her meddling. I stepped out of the cloud of skirts at my feet, moving slower than I really needed to. I perched on the bed and, when I glanced up through my lashes, Thean's eyes flashed, hungrily, which was gratifying. I patted the bed next to me in invitation, because I needed him to know his wife wasn't meek and timid. I scooted up as Thean joined me and propped myself up on one elbow. He made no move to touch me, just tracked his gaze over me. Are you worried you'll hurt me? I asked, surprised by his reticence. I watched his throat move. Humans are different. Yes, I agreed. You're my first sectoral too. And last, he said, a possessive edge in his voice that thrilled me. You're mine, Grace. I am, aren't I? And you're mine. I like that. I reached out to push a lock of hair back from his forehead. Do sectoral people kiss, Thean? His eyes zeroed in on my mouth, which suggested some familiarity with the concept. My eyes fluttered closed as Thean's mouth moved against mine. Tentative. I pressed closer, nipping and kissing tiny, sucking bites across his mouth until he groaned, licking into my mouth. My nipples tightened against the lace of my bridal lingerie, and when he drew back to watch me, I heard myself whimper from the loss of him. May I touch you? He asked, eyes wild, hair tousled. If you don't, I'll demand a divorce, I panted, and Thean's smile felt like the sun. I skimmed my hands over him, gripping his wide back when he nipped at my throat with sharp teeth. He felt good under my hands, like someone had set me loose on the luxurious interior of some high-end car. And then when his fingers brushed across the tip of one aching nipple, I moaned, all rational thought flying out of my head. That was good, he murmured. Yes, I huffed, snatching at his hand and pulling it back where I wanted it. More, please. Lust flared in his gaze and he repeated the motion, rolling his thumb over the sensitive tip. These are fun, Thean mused as I panted my approval, his other hand coming up to trace the edges of the lingerie. They're pretty too, wrapped up for me like a gift. He gripped the lace firmly, something tore, and then his mouth was on my bared skin, pressing quick, hot kisses down my collarbone as a dizzy flush of arousal sparked through my system. The second he sucked one nipple into his mouth, I whimpered, a desperate, needy sound that I couldn't even be embarrassed about. I needed him, needed something. And then he shifted his weight, pressing something hot and hard against the lace of my underwear. Yum. It certainly felt like our bodies would work together. I moaned, rolling my hips and chasing that delicious sensation between my thighs. Grace, Theon groaned, his voice hitching when I rolled my hips again. What are you doing? Dropping a hint, I suggested. But I can beg if this is too subtle. You want this? The consummation? Can't you tell? I leaned up to press a quick kiss to his very delightful mouth and flopped back onto the mattress. Yes, Theon, I want you. I also really want to come, and I'd like it most of all if I could do that while you're inside me. Please, make me yours. Mine, he growled softly. In seconds, he'd shredded the rest of my underwear and pushed down his thighs. As soon as he returned above me, I wrapped my legs around his waist, and now there was nothing between us. Nothing but Theon's hard length gliding against my body. You are so soft, Theon murmured, fervent. He shifted, positioning himself, and I couldn't help the desperate sounds that escaped me. My hot, alien husband pushed forward, filling me with his hot, alien dick. And as the stars aligned and I moaned his name, there was not a bride in the universe happier than me.
Thank you so much, JJ Robinson, for
thanks
your
a lot.
story.
Yeah.
And well done, Amanda. I know that was very, very hard to get through, like a carapace.
Yeah, very hard. And listen, it doesn't help that it is extremely hot in here. It is very, very hot in here. I don't know if it's just me.
It's pushing 10:30, but it's hot. This is
so
Australia
hot.
in summer.
Yeah,
it's like this.
it's so hot. It's just like hot alien dick. You know what I'm saying
Yes,
in
I know
here?
exactly what you're saying.
Yes. Oh. Woo.
So what a great story, and I really loved the sensory detail, I guess, in this story. That was one thing that stood out to me, just all of the hardness and the softness and also the surprising factor of like, okay, so the premise here is a very human one, even if it's depicting aliens, and it's like the wedding night and echoing thoughts that brides may have had over the years about what was taking place on the wedding night. And for many people, this is pre-internet and pre-books even, may have been very alien to them, and they wouldn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really good reframing of that in the context of like aliens, and the fact that she didn't know that like the helmet could be removed and she thought that all of that was part of his body. I thought that worked really well, and some really great world building done with, I guess, not that much like exposition as well. It was all done within the context of the scene, and a very evocative scene, you know, and they fucked and it was great.
Super fun character voice, I think, in this one as well is a big part of it. Very sassy, very obviously hot alien. I mean, I didn't do him justice. We need Vecna to get in here with his sexy voice. But you could really feel that whole thing. That is very much of this genre where it's like, you're mine, I own you, but she wants to be owned, and it's quite cute. So sci-fi, fitting very much into the sci-fi category there.
So one of the things that we considered, again, in this category is like it did have to have a little bit of an other element to it, and this one definitely did. Like it, you know, you could have made a case for this in several other categories. Like it was romantic as well. It would have fit right in there.
I just want to call out right now how foggy your glasses are. You are steamed up there. Are you all right? Yeah. It does it for you. Insect sort of alien warlords.
Yeah, there was a couple of lines in there that really did do it for me.
Oh, okay. I'd just like to say well done to this author on bringing the spice. Surprisingly to me, many stories didn't. Many stories sort of pulled their punches a little bit, and we talked about that in the long list episode, but this one absolutely went there, and I think that was a big part of its appeal. So congratulations, JJ. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I hope you enjoyed writing it, and I hope you're proud. You're now officially a prize-winning smut author. Well done.
And look, we won't reveal the identity or the title of the winner for this category. As with all the categories, we will be saving all that up for the final episode. But you won't need to wait that long because that will be the next episode in this Flesh Fiction series.
Oh, it's exciting.
So we're really looking forward to that. There'll be 6 stories. We'll be reading the winners from all 6 categories, as well as announcing the overall winner of the Not Quite Right prize for Flesh Fiction. So it's going to be an amazing episode. Amanda is already like cringing in advance of having to read all of those
I'm really
stories.
bad at it. I just, you hear me. I'm like bursting into laughter every 5 seconds. I'm so
I'm gonna
awkward.
edit that out. It's
I
fine.
know. No one will be any the wiser, but I do find it very difficult.
You are struggling,
I'm
but you're doing
struggling.
a great job.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
You keep it up. So a huge amount of variety in the stories as well. So something for everyone, something for your mum, something for your nan, and something for you. So I hope everybody listens in, except for my mum and my nan. I fear my mum will be listening. Hi,
Yes.
Mum. Hope you enjoyed it.
Amanda's mum.
Can't
And
wait.
hi to all of my relatives and friends who are listening to this episode. And
Hi to all the people from our past who are like stalking us
Yes,
by
yeah.
coming to listen to the podcast. Hi. Hope you enjoyed. Send us a message. Reach out.
yeah, be nice about it. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you.
Whoever you are.
Yeah, so we've got that to look forward to in our final episode, which is coming up. And we'll be saying goodbye to the Not Quite Right prize for Flesh Fiction. For now, at least, for the immediate future, for this round, which is sad, but also, like, bring it on, because it's been a fucking long time, and we all want to just...
Finish.
We all just want to finish. We want to finish, but we want to go out with a bang. And I think 6 stories, it's going to be a big bang. It's going to be a gang bang.
Oh, hello. All right. Well, take it up a notch. Sure, why not? It is the podium.
'Tis the season.
Tis the season. We're losing the plot. It's too
We're
much
losing
wine.
the plot. So on that note, we will see you shortly for the final episode. And until then, ride on.
Right on.
Thank you for listening to Not Quite Right. If you'd like to reach us via email or follow us on social media, you can find all the links on our website, notquiterightpodcast.com. That's WRITE. And if you enjoyed the show, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcasting app.
Something doesn't seem quite right.
As though Grace and Thian, or Thean.
I would say Thean,
Yeah.
like Ian, but
Yeah.
Thian, like
Yeah.
thigh.
I don't know. That's just how it came out.
I know.
I know, and I corrected it.
I wasn't mocking you.
Oh my God.
Please don't be offensive. I was just like thigh, like a thigh. You're like, I know, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'll just go fucking commit seppuku or whatever. Seppuku. What is it?
It's seppuku, not seppuku.
It's Leviosa. All right. Hey, sexy mama.
Have you ever called anyone daddy? Apart from your actual
I literally call Andy daddy all the time, but that's because the kids are there and you're like referring to him.
Yeah.
I talk about zaddies all the time, but not
You've never said to someone.
in the heat of the moment.
You
Like,
never to
daddy.
some person said daddy.
Not like that.
Okay.
Not unless I was joking. I do the zaddy thing.
Into it?
Jeff
You're
Goldblum.
into the
Jeff
beekeeping age thing? Keeping some bees?
Keeping some
Bees nuts.
Yeah, like I love a bit of Bon Jovi. I can't decide which Bon Jovi I like better. And they're both equally age inappropriate.
How many Bon Jovis are there?
Hello.
There's John Bon Jovi.
Hello. Yes, and Jake Bon Jovi.
Oh,
Are you
I
kidding
don't
me?
know about Jake Bon Jovi.
Oh, he married Millie Bobby Brown from
Are
Stranger
you
Things.
serious?
Yeah,
Like, what's the age difference?
too much.
Okay.
They are equally age inappropriate. I'm right in the middle of the Bon Jovi sandwich, and I cannot decide which way to go.
I'm going to say that was a mistake for Millie Bobby Brown. Or maybe not.
Are
I
you
don't know.
kidding me? Have you seen him?
I don't know.
That was not a mistake.
But who is he? Like, is he anyone?
He's fucking rich for a start.
Why?
He's hot
What
as
has he
fuck.
done? Is he in Bon Jovi?
Excuse me, he's the son of John Bon Jovi.
Oh,
what do you mean? What has
I
he
thought
done?
he was-
He was born. That's what he's done.
Oh, okay. Can I say, I thought it was his brother. or something like that. And I was just like,
so
like
confused. No. Okay. So John Bon Jovi is
now
like
it makes
pushing
100%.
70.
I'm on board now.
Okay.
I'm on board.
And Jake Bon Jovi is pushing like 25 or something.
Yeah, that's better.
You know what I'm saying?
Like he's like younger brother or something who's like 50, 60.
No, he's a baby.
Okay.
He's a baby, which makes it a bit weird, but he's really fucking hot. So I don't care. And he's a celebrity, so it's fine.
That's so weird that you're acknowledging that someone is hot and they're not even gay.
I know.
Like he's
I mean, I don't know. He could be.
He could be.
He's well dressed. There's heaps
Red
of people
flag.
I think are hot. There's heaps of people I think are hot that aren't gay.
Okay, name one.
Jonathan Bailey. Jason Bateman. All right. He's probably been there. He's lived in Hollywood a long time. He's probably barked up a few trees or what have you. I don't know. I don't want to
cast aspersions.
I don't want to cast aspersions or what have you. But yeah, anyway. Super hot.
Okay, let's get back into the episode.
No, I'm happy in here. I'm good now. Let's just stay in this space.